Hello, everybody. Pastor Willingham here again. Here, I invite you to press subscribe to this channel. And also, I wanted to share with you again from the book 16 Biblical Principles of Effective Leadership, which you can find on Amazon.com. Now, I wanted to talk with you today about embracing your leadership. Those who are called to leadership, embracing it. You know, the effective leader embraces their calling. You can't be effective without embracing or accepting the fact that you've been called, and also we have to remember that the God who has chosen us wants to be chosen by us. And so now this God who's called you, this God who's chosen you, wants you to also embrace Him, embrace God, embrace what God has chosen you to do. God has chosen you as a leader, and so often the most difficult thing is embracing it, embracing that God has chosen you to lead. It's difficult because, we know why we're qualified, we know what we bring to it. We know our good qualities and we know our bad qualities. We know what could disqualify us. And so every person in the privacy of their own heart and their own mind knows themselves better than anybody. And so again, this is our difficulty, is that we know ourselves. We know what we offer, we know our upside, and we know whatever negative things we know about ourselves that could make us unqualified for leadership. And this is where we struggle. And depending on which way we lean here, we don't want to be too arrogant. Again, leaning to just our positive qualities, and neither do we want to be too negative on ourselves to say, hey, I've made this mistake or that mistake, and that disqualifies me. No, we want to be somewhere in the middle where we're able to embrace our good and able to embrace the weaknesses that we need to work on and overall and say, God, I'm going to take all of that. I'm going to take all of my good and my bad, and I'm going to embrace what it is that you've called me to do. You know, um, being called by God, sometimes will make us feel unworthy. Many people who are called will feel unworthy for that reason, again, because you know you. You know you're good, you know you're bad, and so there'll be a tendency to feel unworthy, or a tendency to not want the responsibility of leading. I'm a pastor of two churches, and it is a heavy responsibility to lead two congregations of people. And so sometimes we don't want the responsibility, and quite frankly, I think it's better to be a humble person who will question themselves but yet embrace it than to be a person who is arrogant to just say, yeah, I'm qualified. Yeah, I'm good. Yes, I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. And that can lead you into difficulties. And so doubting yourself, doubting your call, sometimes running from your call sometimes is normal. But at some point we want to embrace it, because being called by God to lead God's people will change your life forever. This is a life changing, leadership is life changing. And not just for the leader, but for the people who will be under your leadership. It's life changing to be a leader, to be called. It changes the lives of the people close to you as well. Some people will encourage you. Some people will discourage you. Sometimes being called into spiritual leadership will test our personal relationships. It may strengthen a relationship with people who support you and people who want to go on your journey, and it may cause you to separate from people who don't want to go on that journey, or maybe who don't believe in the journey that God has you on. And so this is the magnitude of what it means to be called into spiritual leadership. And so it's the most important task that you'll ever do in your life is work for God and lead God's people. It's the most important thing that you ever do. It's humbling because essentially it means that God has preordained you. You know, it's the thing. Anything that God is calling you to do now in the natural and the physical, He's preordained it in the spirit. Before you were in the womb, He's preordained you to lead if you're called to lead. And that's what makes leadership spiritual, is that God has already preordained it. God has already preordained it. And that's why human opinions don't matter, because God's opinion about you outweighs them all. It outweighs also your opinion about you, and it's not an easy thing to automatically accept. But at some point, we want to embrace what God has called us to do to be effective. You have to be humble in embracing this. I'll share with you a couple of scriptures here, where one, the prophet Jeremiah questioned his calling. He had his doubts and fears about leading. When we look here in Jeremiah uh, chapter 1, 4, and 5, here it reads, "The word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee, and before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee and ordained thee a prophet." And so God confirming with Jeremiah, the thing that I'm doing with you as a leader, Jeremiah, I've done in the spirit before you came into this body. And it's the same for you. If you're called to leadership, God has already done it in the spirit. And then Jeremiah responds in verse 6 here, where he says, "Then said I, Oh Lord God, behold, I cannot speak, for I am a child." And so Jeremiah did not feel comfortable. He did not feel qualified to lead. But the Lord said unto me, "Say not, I am a child, for thou shalt go to all that I shall send thee, and whatsoever I command thee, thou shalt speak. Be not afraid of their faces, for I am with thee to deliver thee, saith the Lord." Then the Lord put forth his hand and touched my mouth, and the Lord said unto me, "Behold, I have put my words in your mouth." And so God reaffirms Jeremiah when Jeremiah questions, and like King Solomon before, he referred to himself as a child, but God encouraged Jeremiah here and tells him not to worry about the opinions or the attitudes or the dispositions of people, because you're going to see that in spiritual leadership. You're going to see all manner of attitudes and all manner of dispositions. People will come and go and quit and start, and you're going to see a variety of things happen, and you can't be shaken by the attitudes of people. Finally, here I want to show you how God has chosen us. We haven't chosen him. Number one, John 15 and 16 says this, that ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you and ordained you that you should go forth and bring fruit, and that your fruit should remain, that whatsoever ye shall seek of the Father in my name, he may give you. And so embrace your calling. God has chosen you. We have not chosen God, but the first step for you in spiritual leadership and your calling is to embrace it. And so this is my encouragement for you today. Again, I invite you to subscribe here to this channel, and also I invite you to get the book 16 Biblical Principles of Effective Leadership on Amazon.com. I am Pastor Willingham. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.